founded in 1980. Back on New Year's Day, 1980, about 30 artists broke into an abandoned building on Delancey Street, which is just one block south of here, and put up a show called The Real Estate Show, which was an art installation dealing with real estate and the politics of property. That show was almost immediately shut down by the police. All the artwork was confiscated by city marshals and locked up. And there was a bit of a political and publicity furor about that. At the time, this is 18 years ago, it was sort of like homelessness and real estate and stuff wasn't in the news like it's been for the past 10 years. And the city was a bit embarrassed about it all. So they actually entered into negotiations with the artists and eventually offered them an alternative space, which was the storefront and basement at 156 Rivington Street. And that's what became ABC No Rio back in, by that time it was probably the spring of 1980. And then a couple of years later, they actually got a lease for the space. So that's how the actual place was born, by this, this sort of artist intervention action that happened in New Year's Day of 1980. Mm-hmm. And then the first 5 years, the place was pretty much dominated by visual artists, and there were a lot of shows going on here. And then that book, which you have a bit of, sort of documents those early years. In the mid-'80s, it was sort of a boom in performance art and performance activity in the East Village. There was a whole East Village performance scene. Mm-hmm. And No Rio was part of this circuit of venues in the neighborhood where performance art was going on. And then toward the late 80s, there was a lot of spoken word and performance poetry type activity going on here. And No Rio was really instrumental in the resurgence of spoken word and performance poetry in the late 80s. And then I think it was 88 or 89, the hardcore shows started happening here. So as time went on, it wasn't like one thing replaced another. It's like more things just started happening in No Rio.
I feel like ABC No Rio represents like the best of what the Lower East Side has been and should continue to be, which is a place with lots of spaces that doesn't cost a lot of money to get into, you know, and you don't have to be a big name to perform, although there have been plenty of named people, well-known people who have performed here. You don't have to be. It's kind of like a down-home scene. We can all connect to it. You know what I'm saying? There isn't that separation between the audience and the important artist. It's not like that. And it's also political. I forgot to mention that. We have benefits here for legal funds, for people who have been arrested for actions. Many of the art shows are political in nature. It's a critique of the society that we're in. It's a space that kind of blends the political culture and the arts culture. And I can't think of many spaces that do that consistently. So since, I'm a person who's very much involved in politics, and I'm also an artist, it means a lot to me to have a space like this around.
So the space gets used by a lot of community and political and activist organizations, like Food Not Bombs, which prepares food and serves it to people in the park. The Coalition to Save Mumia Abu Jamal has had meetings here, and they're an organization working to free African-American political prisoner here in the United States. ACT UP has done benefits here. Metropolitan Council on Housing has done stuff here. All sorts of different groups have used the space. And then also in recent years, we've gotten pretty closely associated with the squatters movement in New York City. So there's actually also a lot of like squatter type events here. The Squatters Defense Organization called Eviction Watch has meetings here. And some of our most militant supporters actually come from the squatters community.
About 6 years ago, I've been doing shows on the Lower East Side for a couple of years, benefit shows, and a guy called Mike Bullshit was doing shows at ABC, and they were mainly hardcore shows. And he quit, wanted to move on, and he asked this other guy, Freddie, who was doing War Dance Records at the time, if he wanted to take on the booking, and Freddie said yeah. Freddie didn't realise how much work it would take to do it, so he gave me a call after a few shows. I started hanging out there, and he asked if I was interested in doing a show, so I says yeah, and the first show I done was Oi Poloi. It was a good show, a big crowd. And that's basically how I got involved in ABC. ABC at the time was just like, we rented the downstairs to do shows. I wasn't involved. I didn't get involved with the whole building until about 3 years later, when basically what happened, the art collective that was looking after the building, they all quit and left the building to me. And that's when things started getting really difficult. And that's how I got involved.
Alright, this one is along similar lines. That one was about people in prison, just for their political beliefs, business of conscience and stuff. It's for anyone who works for anything like Anarchist Black Cross or anything like that, helping business of conscience. This one's on similar lines. It's about police in general. It's one who's been fucked around by the cops before sort of 99% of the audience. Well, it's for anyone who wants to get a sing-along. Of course, this one is.